back to our channel. We have just arrived in our next destination and we are in Singapore.
Singapore has the world's busiest port. Singapore is a city, a capital, and a state all at once, making it one of only 3 city-states in the world. The other 2 are Monaco and Vatican City. It is one of the world's greenest cities with approximately half of its land, 900 square kilometers, under green cover.
It is currently 6:30 a.m. We had a 10-hour flight here from Auckland and we obviously can't check into our hotel until like 3 p.m. so we've got all of our luggage and just finding something to do, and so we're going to do the obvious thing for anyone that's just arrived at the Singapore airport. We're going to go see the Jewel. Nice to go and do this and then drop our luggage off at our hotel and then have our day in Singapore. But 6:30 is a bit early to be heading over to the hotel.
I cannot begin to tell you how excited I was to see the Jewel. I feel like when anyone ever talks about traveling Southeast Asia, this is one of the top things to see, but unfortunately it wasn't working. So it turns out that the Jewel is only on between certain hours, and honestly that makes sense. I then had to make a quick pit stop at the bathrooms, and can I just be real for a sec? The bathrooms in Singapore, both inside and outside of the airport, are some of the nicest bathrooms that I've ever been in. We then headed over to Starbucks because it's the only thing that was open, and they had this cute little robot that went around collecting all the dishes. I was obsessed with him. We then decided to head over to our hotel, and we were staying at the M Social in Robertson Quay. Unfortunately, as we thought, it was a little bit too early to check in, but we were able to leave our luggage there and walk around the area straight away. I then realised that I forgot something in my bag, so Alex ran back to get it for me, and I looked over and I saw something climbing out of the water. I wasn't really sure what it was at first, and then I realised it was 9 otters. I repeat, it was 9 a.m. after a long night flight, and I was standing there watching 9 otters get out of this random river in Singapore. I thought I was losing it for a second, but honestly, it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. I quickly called Alex and told him he had to hurry back. Otters are one of our favourite animals, and we could not believe that we got the chance to see them just lying around and playing, but it turns out that they have quite the reputation for themselves. They broke into this rich guy's house, and let's just say his koi fish did not make it out alive. We spent a while just watching them play. We then headed over to this mall that was near our hotel because we were starving. I feel like you never eat right on a plane. And we took a look at the produce section. Honestly, the array of fruit and vegetables that they have looks so amazing. We waited till 10 so that we could get a boost because this is always a must. We then started heading back to our hotel because they told us we could check in a little bit early, and it was now that time. We passed this guy who was cleaning the river, and I thought it was so cool. Unfortunately, the otters were gone, so we didn't get to see them again.
Arrived at our room. We got an early check-in for free and a room upgrade, so love that for room tour time. So this is our bed up here, and then you go down the steps. So the room we had, he basically was like, I can see you've got loads of luggage and your room's too small, so I'm upgrading you for free. So that was an absolute win. And then this is the room. Absolutely stunning. Beautiful. Not much of a view, but like, who cares? And we won't be in this room too often because we've got quite a lot to do here. And we haven't actually seen the rest of the room. We've got a bit of light going on now, but here is our bathroom. Very cute, very cute. There's my basin. Oh, the basin's there.
It had been such a long night and we were so ready to cool off in the pool, so we headed straight there before we were going back downstairs, showering and heading out for the afternoon. The sky was looking like rain, but we weren't going to let that stop us. We headed over to the Alfred Quay as we had heard that there were quite a few good restaurants there, and it was so beautiful. All these houses were decorated so prettily. I then decided to have my all-time favourite meal, which is spaghetti and meatballs. Unfortunately, it was not as good as my mum's though, but it was what I needed. We then decided that as the next couple of days were going to be raining, we should probably head over to the Marina Bay Sands and have a look at the area while it was sunny. So we grabbed a tube and made our way there.
Fastest moving escalator ever.
Now, if I'm honest with you, this is one of the things that I've been looking the most forward to while we're in Asia, and I feel like you hear so much about Singapore, and honestly, it completely lives up to the hype. The sky trees were so amazing in real life. They are so much bigger than you think. We spent a good amount of time just sitting and looking at them and enjoying this lovely weather that we were having. Kind of was going between really warm and really cold. We then decided that it was time for lunch, so we walked over from the Gardens by the Bay to the Marina Bay Sands mall, and I did not know that they had these like Venetian water things in the middle of the mall. It was pretty cool. We stopped by a shop that had all this tea, and it turns out that it's pretty famous in Singapore, and everyone was carrying bags of it. We decided that it was a good idea to waste some time just wandering around Marina Bay Sands and wait for the night show that happens outside Marina Bay Sands. We stood for about an hour watching the sunset over the city, and it was stunning. Peep Alex putting away the Bath & Body Works bag. Yes, he let me buy something from there. So, from my research, what I found is that there is a show that happens outside the Marina Bay Sands with water and lights, and that's at 8 PM and 9 PM. And there is also a light show that happens at the Sky Trees, which is at 8 PM and 9 PM. So our plan was to watch the Marina Bay Sands one at 8 PM and then head over to the Sky Trees and watch the 9 PM. But I'm going to sit back and let you guys enjoy the light show at the Marina Bay Sands because honestly, it was incredible. We were then determined to make our way back over to Skytree, and we legged it and made it just in time. Finally made it into bed. Honestly, so tired. We obviously had the 10-hour flight last night and we still haven't slept since. But very ready to get some sleep now. We will see you in the morning. It was a new day and we were so psyched because it turned out that we had free breakfast at our accommodation, and it was one of the best breakfasts that we've had so far travelling. We then called an Uber and headed over to the Gardens by the Bay because we had a full day planned there. Morning vlog. We have made it back to the Supertrees. We are back at Gardens by the Bay to just do the last couple of activities here. Yesterday we only did the Supertrees because it was meant to rain today, and as you can see, it's not raining yet, so we're pretty stoked. But it is hot and we're gonna start going to the places, and in my head I'm like, I'd love if it was air conditioned, but I just know it won't be because it is just like a rainforest. So here we go. Again, I feel like this has been something that has been so high up on my list, and honestly, yes, it did live up to the hype. We decided to do the Flower Dome first. It was also Sakura season, which means all the cherry blossoms were out, and that was really cool. We walked our way through all the different gardens, admiring them, and what's pretty funny is that we've been to most of these places now, so it's cool to point out the flowers that we've seen in the actual places. It was also pretty hot outside, and we were worried that inside the greenhouse it was going to be even warmer. However, we were pleasantly surprised that it was cooler in there. They have like aircon running through the whole thing. It's amazing. It also means that you don't have to rush around the gardens and you don't feel hot and stretched. It's so lovely to walk around the beautiful gardens and be nice and cool. I would definitely recommend coming to the Flower Dome if you're visiting Singapore, because honestly it is really stunning to see all the flowers together and is presented in such a beautiful way, as well as the cherry blossoms. It was cool to walk around some of the Japanese gardens. We then headed over to the Cloud Forest, and again, this was high up on my list and I was probably more excited for this than the Flower Dome. We spent some time walking around the Orchard Gardens, which were absolutely incredible, and once again I'm going to sit back and let you guys enjoy some of the flowers. made our way out of the cloud forest, we realised that there were some clouds outside too. In fact, it was absolutely pouring it down, but we decided to make our way through the rain, and within like 2 minutes, the rain completely stopped.
We've just had such a beautiful time in the cloud forest and flower dome. It was stunning, and we've now walked through to see this beautiful view. And then we are heading over now to it's like the Floral Fantasy, which is like a Disney thing that they have on at the moment. So we're going to go and have a look at that. Very excited.
We then headed into the Floral Fantasy exhibition that they currently had partnered with Disney for. And honestly, I was so excited for this because anyone that knows me knows that I love Disney. And obviously, once again, this exhibition lived up to all my expectations. It was so cool, really interactive, and did the Disney characters such justice. We got to see one of our favourite characters, which is Winnie the Pooh, and then we had an array of different Disney princesses. But I'm going to let you guys enjoy some of the fantasy florals on your own, because it is honestly so impressive how they've done all the displays. We then headed over to the Marina Bay Sands in search of a magnet, but we didn't find any, so we headed back to the Supertree walk. And a lot of people do this in the evening, but we wanted to do it during the day, so we headed up there, and it was really cool. Quite shaky though, so if you're afraid of heights, I probably wouldn't recommend it, but I really enjoyed it. We then walked around Orchard Street, and Alex tried on some clothes at Uniqlo, but he didn't get anything. The last thing we wanted to do today was to try some Peking duck. Now, if anyone knows anything about Singapore, you know that Peking duck is really popular here and it is one of their specialties, so it was high up on our list. However, it can be pretty pricey, so we decided to try it for dinner, and like I said, it was pretty expensive. However, when they say they're going to give you a whole duck in Singapore, they mean they are going to give you the whole duck. I am the type of person that can't really eat meat off the bones. It's a little bit too much to watch the guy cutting it up, as cool as it was. But it was kind of hurting me inside. I did try my hardest not to make eye contact with the duck. However, I do think that they expected us to eat its head. And honestly, I get it's a cultural thing and the tables around us did it, but I was not touching that thing. What I will say about this duck is it is probably the best I have ever tasted. It was so incredibly delicious, and props to the guy that was cutting it up because he had to carve so many ducks that night. I couldn't believe how many different tables ordered it. And they'll even give you like a to-go bag with all the bones and everything if you want it, which obviously we didn't take because we didn't have anywhere to put it. We headed back to our hotel and had a fun little walk on the carpet because honestly I love this design. I feel like you need to follow it like Dorothy in the Little Yellow Brick Road. Alex also joined me in my little bit of fun.
Good morning vlog. It is the next day. We are heading down for breakfast now. It is our last day in Singapore today, which I'm sad about. I very much enjoyed the city. But yeah, breakfast time.
It was a brand new day and we didn't have a flight until much later in the night, so we decided to head over to a mall while it was raining outside. We knew we were going to head over to Changi Airport early today so we could spend some time at the airport enjoying all the amenities they have there. However, we had to waste a few hours just walking around the malls this morning. We even found a Pizza Express, which is the first time we've seen it out of the UK, and we were so excited. Walking through the malls and enjoying some of their culture is so cool. We even saw this guy that was drying the sidewalk, and we stumbled upon this balloon display. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It was so cool, and we spent quite a lot of time here. It's just amazing how people can be so talented.
come to see the Marina Bay Sands Hotel one last time before we leave Singapore. But it was, well, is raining significantly. So we had one goal, and that was to be able to see it and not get wet, which we've done. So there you go. That's our last view of the Marina Bay Sands.
It was then time to head back to our hotel, grab our stuff, and head over to the airport. Luckily, we were able to store our luggage, however, it was a little bit pricey. We then made our way over to the Jewel, which is the shopping centre, where obviously the Vortex is located. And we finally got to see it! I'm not gonna lie, it is just as amazing as everyone says. We then headed up to the top level and did one of the walks through the gardens. You do have to pay to go in, but we really wanted to do one of the netted walks. However, I spent the entire time low-key terrified. So there were these holes and they were a lot bigger than expected, and I just thought my foot was going to fall through it, not gonna lie. But Alex had the time of his life.
We then spent the rest of our time at Changi Airport running around some of the stalls and got some ice cream because, I mean, how could we not? And then we went and just sat and enjoyed the view of the Jewel a little bit more before the sunset, because it is a completely different vibe after that sunset. I also love it when the train comes through. I think it looks so cool. Now, if I'm totally honest, I did maybe think there'd be a little bit more to do. However, most of it is actually once you get through the terminal. We did get to catch the light show, which was really pretty. It's also nice to get the sprays from the fountain on you because it is very humid and hot here, so it is very nice to cool off. And the light show is just as good as the light shows that we saw in Singapore, and would definitely recommend it if you're in the area. However, it was soon time for us to head back to our terminal, grab our suitcases, and make our way for our flight. Now, luckily the suitcase place is 24 hours, so that is great, and we were able to pick it up with no problem. Now, unfortunately, the terminal that we were flying out of was not the main terminal, so we didn't get to do any of the fun stuff once we were through security, but it was quite nice because it was very quiet on the other side, and we were able to just chill, look around at this Lego, because guys, I wanted this Lego so badly, and just enjoy the few exhibits that were there. We then just sat around, had a drink, and wandered around the rest of the terminal before it was time to catch our flight. Now, I'm not going to let you guys know where we are heading next, so you will have to check out our next video to find out. Please like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and we will see you there. Bye!